guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another monthly wrap up and a March TBR. So I've decided, as I've said in my previous ones, this will be my previous month's wrap up and then this current month's TBR. February was the shortest month, like factually, but it felt so long. Like I literally felt like I was in February for a year. So I was looking at the books that I read in February and it literally feels like I read them last year. And this happens every single month. I always forget what I read in the beginning of the month, and then once I'm reminded when I start filming this video, I'm just like, I don't remember reading that. We're gonna get right into what I've read this month, all my opinions and how I felt, all my ratings. But before we do, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is Book of the Month. If you have not been here before or you have not heard of Book of the Month, they are a super popular and fast-growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers like us find books that they love. Their team vets hundreds of books each month and then gives their readers a choice from a curated selection of new and early release titles, so you can spend more time reading and less time researching, which is amazing. They are also risk-free, so if you want to skip a month, say you have too much on your TBR, you have too much you want to read, you don't want to get any new books that month from Book of the Month, you can also skip that month. You will not be charged. It is completely free, and they have the best price for new release hardcover fiction. So if you guys want, you can get your first book just $9.99 with my code Sarah Caroli. All of that will be in the description. But now onto the books that I got this month from Book of the Month. It comes in this blue box, my favorite package to come ever. It says, warning, this box may elicit excitement. Isn't that so cute? Okay, first book that I got from Book of the Month, The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. This is a thriller about a couple who live on the water right by a cliff, and that cliff is a place where people go and they jump off of the cliff. But over the past few months, Gabe, the husband, has stopped people from doing that, and then one day he doesn't stop someone, and then the wife finds out that he knew the person that jumped, and it becomes this whole mystery thing of who's the person, what is his connection to them. I'm excited about this one. And then I got Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. Look at this cover. It is such a pretty cover. It's about 3 different women living in New York, but it says it's shot through with the indulgent pleasures of life among New Yorkers 1%ers. Pineapple Street is an addictive, escapist novel that sparkles with wit. So this is literary fiction. It's more character driven. It follows the 3 main characters. Can't get over the cover though. It's so cute. Again, you guys can use my code Sarah Curly. That is in the description for $9.99 on your first book from Book of the Month. Thank you so much, Book of the Month, for sponsoring this video. Now back into what I read in February. Majority of the books I read in reading vlogs this month, so they could get a little repetitive if you watch those, but I'm going to give more in depth of how I felt about them. The first one is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This was going around so much and I saw so many good reviews on this book and I was so excited to read it because I heard that the twist was amazing, the storyline was great, so I was so excited to get into this. It's about this husband who is having an affair and one day his mistress ends up murdered in their second house. So they have a second house where he goes to write. It's like kind of like by a lake. It's further away from their actual home. And then his wife is a very successful defense attorney. So she finds out what happens and she takes on his case because he is being accused of murdering his mistress. And all the signs are pointing to him, but she's going through the facts of what happened, all the people who were involved with her, and all these things. You're in the eye of both of them. You get both of their point of views. But I ended up giving this 3 stars, which was a bummer for me. But the thing was, I absolutely love the storyline. Being in her point of view as the defense attorney and getting the case and her building the case and going through all the suspicious people and is it really her husband, or like what happened to the mistress, that was so fun to me. I don't know what it is about court cases and lawyers on like the murder cases. I don't know. I enjoyed that storyline. Him though, I think his name was Adam. I found him very like insufferable to read his point of view. Like, I don't know, it's just I did not like him at all, and not even just because he was a horrible husband having an affair. I don't know what he was thinking in his actions. I really didn't like it, or I didn't like him. But then the twist came at the end and I was so bummed out, and I don't know if it's because before this I was reading a lot of thrillers. It was the one ending that I really just didn't want to happen. There was so many other theories that I had that I feel like could have made the ending like so much crazier. It came and I was just so bummed out. I was so, not upset, but just like I guess I was upset. I was upset that that's how this book ended. That's like a personal thing. I feel like if you were to read this, you may love the ending. It's obviously subjective of how you like thriller endings, but for me, it was the one ending I didn't want to happen. I was so bummed out because the storyline was so good and the writing was so good. Then I read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This is a second chance romance between Eva and Shane. They met in high school and they kind of connected over separate things, but they were both struggling with things, so they bonded over that. They started hanging out for a week and they really connected through that time. them and were kind of sort of there for each other and had this connection. And it's told in past timeline and present, but it's third person, so it's, I don't know, I don't love third person, but it was done well. I don't usually like it, but it was good. And then the present timeline, they are both well-known authors, and they meet again at a literary event, and you find out that within the stories that they've written over the years, they wrote about each other in them. And that aspect I loved so much. I don't know what it was, but I really enjoyed the present timeline between them a lot more than the past one. I gave this 4 stars. I don't know, the past timeline I just didn't love. I don't know what it was about it. It wasn't my favorite. I think it was the third person really threw me off. And with the third person, you got like other characters that were in the story, their thoughts, and almost as if it was their point of view for some points of it, and I didn't like that. I just wanted it to be just Shane and Eva. But the present timeline, I loved them reconnecting. I loved them finding each other again. She also is a single parent, so her daughter is in this, the single parent trope, but I actually really enjoyed the daughter. She was very wise for her age. I really enjoyed it. But this is just like a deeper second chance romance. At some points got a little bit boring for me, but I also loved the way that this was like wrapped up. That was so interesting, the way that she ended this. So, and then I read I can't even think. Why am I tearing up? Am I okay? Oh my god, I love this book so much. I'm going through it right now. I read Magnolia Parks too. This book, this series, this writing, this storyline, I don't know what it's done to me. It's changed literally my feelings about every book that I read from now on after this. Like, I don't think I will ever go back to the same reader I was before this series. And that is so dramatic, but it's so true. I've been in the biggest slump. I haven't really loved a book as much as I've loved this since reading it. And I know I haven't read like that many books, but this book. Okay, so this is the third in the Magnolia Parks series, but it's the second Magnolia Parks book. It goes Magnolia Parks, and then Daisy Hates, and then this is the second Magnolia, third in the series, whatever. So this goes along with Magnolia and BJ again. The first book is about them going in circles, the toxicity of them. They once dated, but then BJ did something and they can't trust each other again, or she just really can't trust him, but they have this connection. It's like this whole thing. Throughout reading that, you were so frustrated with them. You hate on BJ so much. The feelings you have for them are like, so it's just infuriating. And by the end of it, you still have like not too much closure of why they act like that. Like, you just think that that's how they are. You get to this book, all of the puzzle pieces connect. You understand why they're the way that they are, why they're so broken, why they have so much baggage, and why their connection runs so deep. And it was so good. Jessa Hastings' writing, I seriously think that she is like grade A genius. Like, her writing is so beautiful. It is so deep. It's like lyrical almost. It's so good. And when you think it gets good, again, it just breaks your heart. And I can't get enough. And the ending of this book, I knew what happened, but it still tore me up. It literally took my heart and like threw it across the street. Like, it was, I can't. And I don't think any book will ever give me the feeling that this and Magnolia Parks one like gave me. Especially this one. Like, this has been probably one of my favorite books ever. I don't think a book will ever top this one, except for Magnolia Parks 3, which comes out over the summer. Anyway, I give it 5 stars. If you couldn't tell, I give that book 1,000,000 stars. Then I read Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. So I was trying to go through, or I still am trying to go through all of her books. Like, I want to read them because she's one of my favorite authors. This is about a woman who comes back to her hometown to live with her parents. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do. So she gets a temporary teaching position at the high school that she graduated from, and she becomes the girls' soccer coach, and then she also becomes a gym teacher there. And while she's there, she bumps into Jake, who she graduated with back in the day, and they knew each other in high school. They had this like thing happen between them, but nothing ever happened from it, and she wanted to get away from the high school, or just get away from the town. But yeah, she bumps into him, and he's the track coach at the high school. So now they are teaching together. They're in the same workplace. They strike up this thing where they are going to fake date because she needs help with the coaching. She's kind of really down on herself. The girls are not helping out. For him, he wants to be able to be taught how to be in a relationship. He's never been in one before, and he really wants to. So they're helping each other out, but it wasn't really fake dating where I like it. Like, I like fake dating when they don't really know each other and they're like thrown into this relationship. They had history, they knew each other. It wasn't really like amazing fake dating. The one thing I love about Lucy Score is her subplots and other characters she puts within the books. Like, she includes side characters like her mom, the townspeople, the high school coaches, and then like obviously Jake and like Jake's dog. Like, there's always other characters and other plots. Like, you get the soccer, you get the coaching and the soccer games, and I love that about Lucy's writing. Like, you don't just get the romance between the two characters, like you get so much more. I think I gave this 3 stars though. I didn't, again, love the fake dating trope. I loved Jake though. He was more golden retriever than anything, and I feel like a lot of the Lucy books I write, they're really grumpy and like broody, but Jake wasn't, and I really enjoyed him. Marley though, she was kind of like too negative for me. She was really stuck and didn't know what she wanted to do, so I understood why she acted the way she did, but I don't know. She just kind of annoyed me a little bit. Also, the soccer I didn't love. Dove, but I knew I was getting soccer, so I really can't complain about that. Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. So a few of these books are going to be in a video that's coming out in a few days, so I don't want to give too much about it, but I will say this is the third in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. I read the first two sometime last year, and I kind of held off on this one, but I'm so happy that I read it. It's about Amelia, or at least the first one. But Amelia, she is a witch, and her twin sister ends up dead. She's murdered, so Amelia is now on this kind of hunt to figure out what happened to her sister who murdered her. But since she's a witch, she summons the Prince of Hell, or one of the princes of Hell. There are 7 sins of hell. They're all princes, and the one that comes is Wrath. So now they're on the journey together to figure out what happened to her sister. There's something in it for both of them. This one was my favorite out of all of them, I will say that, and I will say that the one thing I wished was we got Wrath's point of view in this one, because I ended up obsessed with him. Like, I am down bad for Wrath. I need more fantasy books with characters like Wrath. Like, I'm obsessed with him. Again, I'm not gonna give too many of my opinions because I have that video coming out, but I loved this book like so much. And then I read Anastasia by Sophie Lark. Again, this is gonna be in the same video, so I don't want to give too much. The thing is, I don't really know the original story of Anastasia. That's why I can't really say too much. And basically, this is told to be an enemies to lovers, a dark fantasy. Anastasia, it starts off, she's 11 years old, and she's a princess, and all of her siblings have powers, and like, she's supposed to hit an age where she has powers, but she doesn't have any. And then at like 100 pages later, she's now 13 years old, and she figures out that she has some kind of power, and she meets this guy Damien, but Damien is sent off to train, so you don't really get him. 100 more pages, now she's 16. It's chronologically going through her life, and that kind of threw me off because you get a chunk of her life in extreme detail. It's very descriptive. There's a lot of politics within the world, a lot of war talk, not a lot happening, but a lot of words were being said. I didn't love it. Then I read Serpent and Dove. Again, this is the same video, so I'm not gonna say too much. It's about a witch and a witch hunter, and something happens and they're thrown into a marriage together, but obviously they hate each other. The witch hunter, Reed, has no idea that Lou, the witch, is a witch. They're going through whatever's happening. There's like a little mystery going on, and then I thought the one thing that was gonna happen is obviously he finds out she's a witch, but there was more to it than I expected, and I really liked that. Again, these are all gonna be in a video, so I don't want to say too much about them. Then I read The DoOver by Lynn Painter. This was part of our book club book. I have a book club, if you guys don't know. It's on Patreon. It's a subscription membership. It's linked below in the description if you guys want to join us, but we just chose our new March book, which I'll talk about in a little. But we read The DoOver this month, and I split it up between weeks, like specific chapters between weeks, and I wanted to try that out for the first month. I don't know, I feel like that's like how people read in book clubs. Like, you read this many chapters week 1 and this many week 2. So I did that, and I think shouldn't have done that, because after reading it for like week 1 and then taking a break and then reading week 2's chapters, not that I forgot what happened, but I wasn't as immersed in the story as I could have been. So I don't think I'm one to put down a book and pick it back up and be as involved. Anyway, this is about, wait, I don't remember her name and I just read it. This is about Emily, who wakes up and it's Valentine's Day, one of her favorite days ever. She's so excited to give her gift to her boyfriend, and it's gonna be the best day ever. She has the whole thing planned out, but she goes to school and she sees her boyfriend cheat on her. She doesn't get the scholarship she wants. Her dad's about to move to Texas, crashes her car into Nick Stark, this whole thing. Goes home, worst day ever, wakes up again, it's Valentine's Day again, and she's on a loop reliving the Valentine's Day. Nick Stark, the one that she crashes her car into, becomes a pretty big part of the story. And usually I don't love the whole Groundhog Day, repeating day trope. It's just, it could get so repetitive, but I think that she did such a good job doing that, because there's one day of the repeating days that like takes up majority of the book, and it's different than all the other ones. It felt so much better than the first half of the book being the repeating days, because I was hoping it would end, but you get that one long day, and that made it so much better. I will say that Emily, the main character, kind of annoyed me a bit. Like, she was just a little, I don't know how to explain her. Nick Stark, though, I really enjoyed him. I think he was a really good character, but then you get almost to the end of the book, and I feel like the ending, it was cute, but I didn't like how he acted, and I didn't like how fast it wrapped up. Like, I wish we had more ending, less beginning, even though I know beginning had to give the whole repeating days. But it was cute. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't really love it, and I don't know if that's because I read it in sections or it just wasn't a book that I wanted to read. I think I have to be in the mood for a book like this. This is definitely good if you're in a slump and you need something quick and like fast-paced and fluffy. I didn't absolutely love it, but it was cute. Then I read Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. So this is the second in the Knock 'Em Out series. The third one's coming out in September. The first one is Things We Never Got Over. I actually went to Lucy Score's book signing for this release. She is so sweet. She is so funny. It was literally the best experience ever, and she signed my book, and it was amazing. But this is about Nash and Lena. So Nash is Knox from the first book's brother, and you get him in the first book, so you already know him, you know his story, you know what he does and everything. And then Lena you get in the first book, but at the very, very end she comes into play, and then you get the beginning of this book. So I think you should read the first one if you're thinking about reading this, because the plot line in this book stems off of the first one. The whole mystery aspect in this book is like about that one. Anyway, Nash, again, Knox's brother, a police officer in Knock 'Em Out, and he is the chief. Lucy Score did a really good job portraying Nash as wanting to just protect his community, protect his family, protect his friends and people all around him. She brought up really good discussions within this. She brought up a whole storyline, another character. I think she did a really good job. Nash was amazing. Something happened at the end of the first one, and in this one he kind of is struggling with like his mental health, and he's kind of really down. He just needed someone to help him come out of that and find himself again and want to be able to protect his community again. So Lena comes into play. She moves into the apartment complex that he is in, kind of like his across the hall neighbor. She is the opposite of Nash. Nash is kind of like the guy that wants a family. He wants marriage, he wants kids, and Lena is the one who's kind of like more of a daredevil. She wants adventure. She doesn't want to just stay put. So they are opposites, but they know each other. They're close proximity to each other, so they're hanging out, and she helps him a lot, like find light again, and I loved that part. I loved how she helped him. I also gave this 5 stars. They weren't my favorite couple. I think I like Knox and Naomi more than them, but I did love them. I think Lucian and Sloane, who is the 3rd book, is going to be my absolute favorite. I remember reading Things We Never Got Over, and I DM'd Lucy Score right after, and I was like, I need a Lucian and Sloane book like right now. Anyway, my favorite part about this book is the found family aspect that came through it. Not only are you getting Nash and Lena connecting with each other, hanging out, doing whatever they're doing, but you also get a lot of Knox and Naomi. You get a lot of her niece Waylay. You get a lot of Naomi's parents, Lucian and Sloane. You get all the townspeople, the community, and it's such a tight-knit community and a tight-knit found family that like I loved it so much because you get more than one plot, you get more than one characters, more than one personalities, and it was so good. I was obsessed with it. I loved the storyline. There was the romance, the found family, a little mystery going on. It hooked me from the first page. I love Lucy Score's writing. It did it for me, and I loved it so much, and I cannot wait for the 3rd book. I think it's gonna be so good. It may be my favorite. I already am holding it on a really high pedestal right now, so I'm really excited to see if it is my favorite. Actually, before the DoOver and Things We Never Hide from the Light, I read Housemaids Secret. So this is the sequel to The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I will say it's not my favorite Frida McFadden book, The Housemaid, because it wasn't as many plot twists as her other books that I've read by her, but it's basically the first one was about Millie, who got a job as a housemaid to this richer family. She like needed a job. She was really excited to start working for them. The wife seemed really nice who hired her, but she starts working. The wife ends up being crazy. The daughter ends up being crazy too, and things are just not making sense, and it's this whole thing. But it's really good. Her writing is addicting. So I started the second one, and it's about Millie again, and she is going on another journey. This one, I will say I loved a lot more than the first one. This one had more twists. It had me thinking more of what was going to happen. Like the first one, I kind of figured it out as it was going on. But this one, I just feel like it was more interesting and entertaining. Like I was more on my toes, and I read this in literally like 2 sittings maybe. I gave it 4.5 stars. The ending was so good. So if you thought the first was a little bit slower, you may love the second one more. So I highly recommend reading the second if you did read the first and you don't know if you should. And I also like it gets right into the storyline because you already know Millie, you know her past, you know what happened in the first one. Like she doesn't put too much description or too much storyline into what's going on. Like it goes right into the story. And it's so good. Now that is everything I read in February. We're gonna get into my March TBR. I always have a big TBR. I don't know why I do this, but I do it every year. No, every month. The first book on my TBR is In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This is our March book club book pick, so if you are interested in reading this along with us, join our book club. Again, it is in the description. This is about a woman who gets her grandma's will, and she's inheriting the tulip farm that her grandma owns and where she grew up, but in order to get it, she has to move back to the farm, and she has to be married, so she goes back to the farm, and on another farm is Noah, and he and her went to high school together, and he proposes a fake marriage to help her get the tulip farm, and he wants more land, this whole thing. So far so good. I'm not obsessed with it. I feel like it's a little bit boring, but I have hope. Then I want to read The Final Author by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I've seen everywhere that people are saying this is their favorite out of all of them, so I'm so excited. It also has tropes that I really like. I heard it's second chance, childhood friends, I don't know. It's something like that, and those are my favorite tropes ever. The only thing is I heard that there's a kid in here, and I don't want to read it yet because In a Jam has a kid, and I'm not enjoying her, and I want to go into this not having bad thoughts about the kid. I don't love kids in books, so I don't know when I'll get to this, but I would definitely want to read this month. Then I have Daisy Hates. This is DH2, so this is the second Daisy Hates book. This follows Daisy and Christian and Julian, so they are from the Magnolia Parks universe. Daisy and Julian are brother and sister, and then Christian is part of Magnolia's friend group, and Daisy and Christian kind of had this thing for each other, but the first one didn't really give much closure, so I'm excited to get to this one. I'm excited to see more of Julian because we got a lot of him in the second Magnolia Parks, which was right before this, so I'm excited to see his point of view of everything that went on in the other Magnolia book. Then there's 3 books I want to read that I don't have. The first one is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I forgot who this was by, but I've seen nothing but good things about this book. One, the cover is beautiful. Two, I'm like kind of in a fantasy-ish mood, and I've again heard nothing but good things about this book. I don't know what it's about. I literally have no idea. I just really want to read it. I have this urge to read this book, so it's on my TBR this month. Then I have Mile High. Again, I don't know what this one is about either. I've just seen people raving about this. I think this is part of a series. I really want to get to this month. All I know is it's a romance, and that it's part of a series, and that there's a plane on the cover. It's all I know. And that goes along with the last one that I have on my TBR, Flawless. I think this is also part of a series, but this is like a cowboy series, I think. Again, no idea what the tropes are, no idea what it's about. I just heard it's a series. I heard it's really good. I'm seeing the cover everywhere, and I really want to read it. That's also on my TBR this month. The TBR is not too long. I feel like I could achieve this if I really wanted to, but you know what? Videos come up, books come into light. I don't know if I'm gonna read all of them, but it's a possibility. Alright, so those are all the books I've read this month. That is my March TBR. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you read any of these books, if you have any opinions on these books. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you hopefully in the next one. Bye!